Welcome to Pleasant Fields, a home that illustrates a century of architectural change in this area. Sharon Washburn is an architect who is working on the home's present renovation.
The Waters house, which is also called Pleasant Fields, has three sections. There's the original section on the left, which is a very simple house built in the 1780s. It was a brick farmhouse. The center section, built in the 1840s, was expanded. The family got larger, the farm was more prosperous, had more production, so they expanded the house. In the 1890s, though, family was really well-to-do. They wanted more space. They wanted to become more stylish, more up-to-date. They built a nice Italianate structure that doubled the size of the house and redid parts of the original house so that it blended in.
Looking at the facade, one sees the three sections. The earliest is on the left. This was the original farmhouse of the plantation. It is likely it first looked like this.
The 1790s farmhouse is a simple federal-style brick structure. There's a basement kitchen, first floor living space, 2 bedrooms on the upper floor. It's got a couple of fireplaces to heat it. That's about it for the inside. The windows, as you look at it, are 6/6 double hung. That refers to the 6 panes in the top and bottom sash, and that was very typical of the period. You can tell what the front of the house looked like by looking at the back. There was a very simple porch on the front. The porch we see now is a much more ornate porch that was added later.
As the family grew, along with their wealth, the farm changed. In 1840, Basil's son Zachariah Waters added on to the house. At the time, it probably looked like this.
In the 1840s, with a larger family, they decided to add on, get some more space, so they built a similar structure to the original. It's still got the same side gable roof. The windows were actually very similar to the original, not what you see here, which have been changed, but they were still the 6/6 panes. Inside, there were 2 rooms on each floor, larger, more spacious rooms, higher ceilings, and they had stoves as well as fireplaces to heat the house.
Around the same time, new outbuildings were added, some of which still exist today. The bank barn and the corn crib demonstrate that the Waters family had switched from growing tobacco to producing grain and livestock. In 1886, ownership had passed to Zachariah's cousin, Dr. William Waters. 4 years later, his son, Charles Waters, added the third section on the right.
This final addition was a Victorian style called Italianate. It doubled the size of the house. It was a wood structure instead of a brick structure, but it was their attempt to bring the house into a more fashionable style, and it was commonly happening throughout the county at this time. You can look at the house, you can see there's much more ornate windows trim around the windows. The porch has very elaborate columns, detailed with brackets. And up at the crown and the cornice line, at the roof, you see doubled brackets, also a typical Italianate detail. The house had higher ceilings, a few fireplaces, but again, more stoves to heat. It was more efficient and less fire problem. But then the house looked wrong, so they came back over the 1790s and 1840s portion of the house, and they reworked the front of the house. They went to the 1790s porch, and this is what you see here. It is now an Italianate porch. It's got fancy columns. In the middle section of the house, the windows were too low, so they took out those windows, put in larger windows with 2/2 panes instead of 6/6, and raised the windows up. They added a bay window on the front and used that to give more space and glamour to the house. At the end of this construction, they painted all the structures the same color and the same way, and this unified the structures even though they were of different materials, brick and wood, and the end result is a large, impressive structure that not only gave the family more space, but also reflected the wealth and improved status of the family and the community.
The property remained in the Waters family until 1932. Today, it has been given new life as a center for community events run by the Montgomery County Historical Society.